Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's time for another tier list in today's video where I will be talking about the Greek national final for Eurovision 2025. It's called Ethnikós Telikós and there are 12 songs, and this is, in my memory, I know Greece have had national finals before, but in my memory this is the first one that I can remember actually being a part of and following. So I'm kind of excited about this year's selection in Greece. If you don't know already, Greece is one of my favorite countries when it comes to Eurovision, so I'm always really excited to see what they have to submit. I gotta say, before I really delve into the whole tier list and everything, as I've been listening to these songs, there's one thing that has really struck with me and stuck with me mainly when really reflecting on these songs, and that is, hopefully it has something to do with like the YouTube compression or whatever, because these songs, I've only been able to find them on YouTube to listen to them, but they all sound quite relatively poorly produced, which is holding back my enjoyment out of them a lot. I gotta be honest, I haven't really returned to this selection as much as I maybe have expected that I would. I've been instead just kind of returning to Benny Dormfest and to Esti Lau mainly, I'd say. Because of the production quality, really, like these songs don't feel that replay friendly to me or to my ears at the moment. Hopefully it's just an issue with the compression rate on YouTube, but they all sound like they need a proper polish in terms of production. So I'm kind of just throwing that out there early on here, so it kind of applies to all of the songs. Some are definitely in more desperate need than others, because you can still hear the ambition among some of these, that there's some professional input behind it. But some of them have a really big issue with this one, and I'll probably point that out as I go along throughout this video. However, that's really just kind of a thing that I need to get out of the way, because it's something that really stuck with me and kind of left a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth, I suppose, when it comes to this selection. So I just wanted to get that out of the way before I talk about the songs individually. And overall impression of this selection, I gotta say, maybe I expected a little bit more, and maybe something that hit me more, like with a greater impact. However, I'm always looking forward to just seeing how well will these songs be performed live. Of course, there's a lot of potential in several of these songs, I think, that could absolutely knock it out of the park. But we'll see. We'll see how the tier list will pan out. I haven't really planned out where I will place every song, but I'm starting off anyway with Lost My Way by Andy Nicolas, which is one of the songs that really I have not returned to that frequently. I listened to all of the songs several times to kind of make a clear mind or a clear opinion personally of what I think of them. This one really hasn't impressed me particularly much. I think it has a very flat instrumentation to it. It's incredibly predictable in terms of its actual structure and development throughout the song. This static, monotonous piano that the song opens up with, it's really been heard a million times before, and there's nothing wrong with that, but there's no kind of rhythmic sway to it or anything. It's very kind of metronome following in terms of its pattern. I don't think the song builds particularly well on that either, which is a disappointment. There are some strange vocal chops coming in during the choruses to establish some kind of contrasting rhythm that kind of sounds a little bit off, in my opinion. That could be, a part of the subpar production issue, but the percussion also suffers from that, I'd say. Overall, like the effort as a whole is quite soft and it's quite accessible, and I can see it kind of appealing to some, and especially if they have a good live performance to it. But at the moment, I'm not particularly impressed with this song. I'm placing this one in the E tier. It's serviceable, I'd say, but I need to be convinced by an actual, by a properly greatly executed performance for me to actually be won over by this one. I'm kind of disappointed as it stands. Next up is Sirens by BARBZ, and this one's kind of cool. I gotta say, this is one of the songs that really stuck with me from the selection because of its complete kind of compelling atmosphere that I think it has. It's a bit on the repetitive side in terms of its melodic approach, which, could be a little bit of a setback here, I suppose. But overall, the whole atmospheric package that it has is something that I'm very, very fond of. I think the kind of really neat, bright vocal tone on top of this melodic backdrop, that's kind of moody and tense. It's a nice combination of things. It feels quite dynamic in that regard. I think the flow of the entire track is very well executed as well. It feels like the song actually has a purpose in terms of its development and progression throughout. I think there's a decent attempt at some kind of emotional vulnerability in the song as well, particularly from the vocal side of things. I'd say that the choruses, like these instrumental choruses or drops or whatever you'd like to call them, they need a proper increase of punch in terms of the production really, but also in terms of just the actual sound design of it. I think the drive of this beat really that they rely on so heavily, it needs to be emphasized, it needs to really be properly enhanced to make it hit even harder. However, if that is managed to just be accomplished, then I think this is a properly great effort. I'm being a bit cautious at the moment, so I'm placing this one in the B tier because I think the song is in high demand of a proper polish in terms of that production in order for a song within this style of music to really work. Like EDM music is very, very dependent on a proper production to hit very, very hard in order for them to be as compelling as they should be. So I'm being a bit cautious, but I'm placing it in the B tier. I think it's a very nice effort, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do with it. Next up is Valé by Evangelia. And this is, energetic, very kind of accessible, upbeat pop tune that certainly is supposed to be kind of a crowd pleaser and get people engaged. And I think it is quite engaging. Could be a proper, great party package on stage as well when we see it. The first time I was kind of thrown off by this song a little bit when I heard it because I found it to be so, similar to... I had to look up the song because I didn't know what it was called, but I've found up a song called Pepas by Farruko that I think this one reminded me so much of, in terms of its structure, in terms of its sound design, in terms of its overall approach, that it kind of threw me off a little bit at the first time. But once you look past that, I think it's just kind of, engaging enough either way, and it doesn't have to be as, complex or out of the ordinary for this one to just kind of be a crowd pleaser. I'm very fond of, one thing that I really like about the song, actually very fond of this kind of blend with Greek being implemented in the song, with the vocals. There's Greek lyrics being implemented, and that combination kind of surprising the first time and very, very charming. So I think that's a strong selling point of it. The hook is very much kind of like a football chant, it sounds almost like, and I get it, that's inviting, it makes everyone feel like they're part of the party. I think the layering on it is a bit on the tacky side, that's a personal preference, and I think the elevation during those choruses as well, I'm kind of lacking a little bit of this elevation to be completely convincing to me anyway. I get that it's catchy, I get that it's inviting, but I don't think it's as rewarding as they probably build it up to be. Another thing that I'm very, very skeptical towards is the traditional breakdown towards the end where they really just throw everything they've built up completely out the window. They just introduce a traditional sounding, very Greek inspired or Greek instrumentation inspired section that has nothing to do with the rest of the song, and that is incredibly forced and very, very disappointing in my opinion. I get the purpose behind it. They want to really showcase the ethnic touch of the track as well, but it has not been done with a proper finesse. There's no transition between them. The finesse of the track is just non-existent, and it feels incredibly disappointing. Where does it come from? Absolutely nowhere. Overall, the whole package though, I think it's fun. I'm still placing it in the C tier. I get what it's doing. I understand that it's effective. I have my qualms with it, but it's still solid all around, I'd say. And solid all around, I'd probably stick to that kind of explanation when I talk about Unhurt Me by Nafsica, which is a very sweet ballad, emotional core to it. Feels a bit kind of timeless in that sense. It feels like a song maybe you've heard before, but not necessarily in a negative way. It feels like it's doing exactly what it sets out to do and doing it in an effective way. It's nicely arranged, I would say. Quite subtle, maybe not the most gripping of ballads out there that I've heard anyway, but it's still something that actually speaks to me when I listen to it. I can connect with it. It sounds like the vocals sound quite nice in it as well. And it's just overall a decent effort, I would say. I'm placing this one in the C tier as well. I think it's solid all around. No real complaints about it. I'm not sure if it's the most competitive when you go into a competition, but it's absolutely a neat little song to listen to at any time, in my opinion. Quite accessible in that regard as well, I'd say. Moving on to Odyssey by Dinamiss, which is absolutely probably the song from the selection that I think suffers the most from subpar production, because the mainly I'd say the instrumental sections and the drop parts of the song, they sound very, very off. They are not convincing in any regard. Hopefully that has mainly to do with the compression rate on YouTube, but I'm skeptical because it doesn't feel like it has that clarity to really back it up. Like, as I said, EDM music has, like, it needs to impress in terms of its production in order for it to work. And when you don't, it feels very demo-esque, it feels very disappointing, and it does not have that proper engagement that you probably want your song to have. This song is conceptually a club banger in terms of, you know, its proper structure and its approach and its attitude. Melodically, it has some catchy parts for sure. I think that works. There's a lot of personality in the track, but there's no substance, unfortunately, to it because of the lack of a drive in terms of its instrumental. It does not connect with me as a listener anyway. I see the potential here, but surely there are plenty of producers in Greece who could have put a hand on this to make it, you know, listenable, even in my opinion. I'm very disappointed by this. I see that there's a concept behind it, but it's, at the moment, I would never really seek this one out to re-listen to it because I think it's just a complete letdown in terms of its actual impact that it has on a listener. I'm placing this one in the E tier, and that's mainly because I see the concept here. I see the potential in it, but it needs a proper rework, I would say. Next up is Thanos Lambrou with Free Love. This is, you know, I hate to use the word dated when speaking about music because I like to think that there's a time and place for every type of music, but this is completely, it feels like it's taken out of the kind of CD box in the gas station. It's very kind of underwhelming in terms of its actual impact on me as a listener. There are some kind of rhythmic distinction in the choruses, which is quite nice, some cool guitar lines sporadically placed throughout the song as well, but I find there to be no real energy in the execution here. I'm not sure who mixed this, but they probably did absolutely very limited work on it. Like, their guitars have no drive, the drums are hidden at the very back of the track. Vocally, it's present, sure, could have a good performance, I guess, but as a listen, it's not convincing. I'm placing this one in the E tier as well. I'm kind of stacking up that category at the moment, it feels like. And I hate being this negative, but I gotta be honest, I am disappointed with all of these songs that I've placed in the E tier, for sure. As I move on to Elevator, Up and Down by Rikki. And this one is a bit poppy, it's a bit upbeat, chirpy in terms of its tone and approach, but I'd say, like, it sure embraces its total... Oh, this is gonna sound harsh, but I think this song kind of has a concept of being kind of nonsense, which is... That sounds harsh, but it's embracing that fact, for sure. I get what they're doing. Effective, might be. Will it connect with listeners? Perhaps. Doesn't connect with me at all. I find this one to sound excessively silly, unfortunately. Kind of sounds like a song for a commercial that wants to be charming or funny or whatnot. There's like this, from the TV show Family Guy, there's like this song in when they're like... checking lottery tickets, and there's a song that explains everything they're doing.
Checking lottery tickets, looking at the numbers and seeing if they match the ones on the news. If they do, then we're winners. If they don't, then we put them in the designated pile for tickets we already checked.
It just reminds me of that. It's like very on the nose, very obvious, and without much charm. It feels very predictable and kind of forced and not fun to me anyway. This is another E. I'm sorry. I get that it could be appealing for some, but not for me. Next up would be Konstantinos Christoforou and Kostas Karafotis with Paradeisos. And, you know, I really love stumbling across these traditionally very Greek songs. It's embracing a very compelling ambience, I would say here. The instrumentation is lovely. It's a well-arranged song. It has a very authentic touch to it. I definitely, like, this is the song that really speaks to me and tells me, okay, Greece. You know, this is the song that just screams Greece about it, because you could not be mistaken for a different country when listening to this song. This is all Greece. That's like the stamp on the track. And I think, like, due to the fact that this song is not digitally focused, The production isn't as much of an issue, even though I think that the production needs more polish in order for this to be completely stunning. I think it's almost there. It has very rewarding, it feels captivating, it's emotionally loaded, but it could absolutely be enhanced further. However, the production is not as much of an issue with this song as I'd say as with a lot of the other songs that are so digitally focused. I'd say that melodically, maybe this song is not the most memorable. I also think that it's not particularly energetic. It feels a bit pedestrian in its progression and development. However, I'd say that it's certainly atmospherically superb, so that's probably the standard part of it. I'm placing this one in the B tier as well. I think there is a little bit of there are a few setbacks about this one as well, but I think it's a really great listen, and I really enjoy returning to it. Even though I don't, I gotta be honest, I don't return to any of the songs from this selection as much as maybe I should, but maybe that will change when I feel like they all convince me in terms of of sound design and production. However, one song that I will not be returning to under any circumstances whatsoever will be High Road by Georgina, Kalais and Vlaseros. It's called High Road, and I mean, if... No, is it really called High Road? I wouldn't know. I really wonder what road she's taking in this song, because I think she's not being very clear about it. This is just ridiculous to the point where I feel like, are they doing this as a joke? Like, surely they hear it when they record it, when they produce it, when they wrote it, when they even came up with the idea. Can we really say, I'll take the high road 500 times in a song and expect it to be interesting? No, probably not. I mean, starts off okay, absolutely, the song does that. Some suspense in the verse, some tension here and there. It's quite well sung from both of them, I'd say. But after the first minute, when there's actually some kind of song going on, it completely loses me because it feels ludicrous in terms of its actual approach. I have no idea what they were thinking. I hope that it's a gag, because otherwise I'm not sure what to tell you. This is an F. Easy F. Sorry. I'm sorry, but I can't support songs being written in this way. I do not approve. Next up is Xannova Xan with Play It, which is, you know, catchy, upbeat, energetic little party tune again here. I think this one is quite effective in terms of its arrangement, in terms of its approach. There's some palpable tension in the verses here, fun detailing being put into the backing track here, really throughout the entire song, I'd say. It feels quite immersive in that regard, I'd say. Great energy throughout, convincing flow between sections. It feels like it's well structured and just kind of ties itself together into one package, and that's very rewarding. It could turn into a great performance, absolutely. It could also fall flat on its face, where I'm very tentative regarding how that will come across, but I'm also very intrigued. It's going to be an interesting one to see. I think that this song on its own is kind of let down on the very minimalistic choruses or drop sections, if you will, that I think hold back the song quite a little bit. But it's catchy all around. I get what it's doing, and I think it's arguably maybe the most memorable of these like upbeat pop tunes and most catchy ones of them, but I don't think it's particularly interesting maybe. It has some depth in the backing track for sure, and it could absolutely be a great performance, but at the moment I don't think it's that enjoyable for me personally, and I still have to put my subjective opinion on it. So I'm placing this one in the C tier. I think it's good. It's solid. It works. But I'm looking forward to being convinced further with the performance later on. Next up is Asteromata by Klavdia. Klavdia? Yeah. Hopefully I've written that down right in my notes. And this one, again, like it's in such desperate need of a production polish. And like in this case, this is like the most frustrating one because I hear what they're doing here. This is atmospherically so grand. It really relies on a compelling setting and very much utilizes that. This could be a huge effort when we see it. But again, I'd say that the percussion in particular of this track unfortunately sounds, and I'm sorry for using this word, but it sounds horrid to me because it clashes with the entire soundstage, and it has not been implemented in an effective way to actually emphasize the energy or the drive of the track, to actually make it this very impressive, monumental sound experience. that I don't think it really is at the moment, because the actual arrangement is not polished in a way to be impressive. If we were to hear it with kind of a live orchestra, you'd definitely feel the dynamics, you'd feel the absolute resonance of all of the instrumental inputs to just be compelling and convincing. But as it stands, these digitally incorporated sound design that the song relies on, it's not being implemented effectively into the actual track here, which holds back my enjoyment massively, unfortunately. I think that this song could be a complete home run in terms of what it wants to set out to do. It has an effective world building around it. It's very captivating and immersive, I would say. This gradual build and development, it grows grander and grander throughout the song, very, very nicely. The vocals sound convincing, I would say. It's emotionally poignant as well. This captivating instrumentation is very well arranged. The choruses, they just could be huge. They could be completely huge with a proper impact supporting them. I'm placing it in the B tier for now. I hear what they're doing. This could absolutely be an S if they nail everything that I want them to nail about it. But at the moment, again, I don't return listening to it because I think it has too many setbacks and flaws in terms of the actual, kind of the sonic experience that we're getting at the moment, or audio one. B tier though, it's one of my 3 favorites. I can reveal that now because the last song in the selection is called Yimu by Kostas Ageris. I like this one, but it's not one of my 3 favorites, as you can see which ones those are on the screen. However, I kind of like this one as well. I've heard so many songs like this when I've been to Greece, and it really makes me miss being there. Now I just feel like the need to go and get a flight ticket as soon as possible and just enjoy the country and its culture and its vibe and its atmosphere again, because these songs just transport me. In my mind, I'm transported to a country I'm so very fond of. I think this song has a very captivating world building to it, and that's probably the most poignant part of it. There's some tangible instrumentation in here. Structurally and arrangement-wise, I'd say that this song is somewhat predictable, and that is a bit unfortunate. I think the song could have been more free-flowing and actually been allowed to develop in a more unexpected and creative manner, I'd say. Feels like it's kind of forced into a box of set patterns and rules that it needs to follow. However, I'd say that it's serviceable, it's enjoyable enough for sure. I think, like with a lot of the other songs here, there's a lack of a proper punchy hook to the song here, which probably holds back its chances and also holds back my enjoyment of it a little bit. I don't think it's as replay friendly because of the lack of a proper melodic hook that you just instantly remember. I'm placing this one in C tier still. I think absolutely the most memorable song from the selection in my head is probably Play It, to be honest. That's the song that's imprinted itself in here. And also Sirens. Yimu is arguably the song that has least imprinted itself in my head melodically. However, it has the instrumental, it has the arrangement kind of concept around it that really presents this world building aspect that makes me intrigued and invested into listening to it, even though I have my qualms with it. And that's the end of the tier list. It kind of looks a bit sad looking at the tier list like this. It's a bit disappointing, but really I have to really just emphasize the importance of a convincing production when I listen to a track, because it affects my will and my desire and my interest in returning to a song, because I need to enjoy it fully and be completely immersed for me to enjoy it to the fullest. And possibly all of these songs could be enhanced so much that I'm loving them. But at the moment, this is probably the selection so far that I've returned to the least, and I'm not really looking to return to it until we, of course, see the live performances. I'm really looking forward to watching this national final and hopefully get floored by some of these performances. But at the moment, listening to the studio cuts, I have other selections so far that I'm more willing to return to. However, some few standouts in the selection for sure, and I think some of these picks could be really, really great for Eurovision. I'm hoping that Greece can end up going for something that's so very, very Greek and kind of, own to them, like they really represent that identity, But if they don't want to go for that, that's fine as well. Whatever they go for, hopefully the country of Greece will support the effort that they're picking for Eurovision, and I'll be fine with that. I have my 3 favorites. I hope one of them wins, of course, but if something else is, very, very impressive live, then I'm rooting for that one probably, so we'll see. But please let me know, which songs are your favorites from the Greek selection. Do you think I'm completely in the wrong when I'm so skeptical towards the selection in terms of the actual production of the tracks that we've heard so far? I think that I feel a bit harsh and mean when I say things like this, and I don't want to do that, but still, at the end of the day, I want to be honest with all of you what I actually think about the songs as well, and what my disappointments are. So hopefully you don't mind that. But if I've been too harsh, let me know as well, and let me know if you also feel the same way, or if you don't really mind, or if you think that I'm talking rubbish. Please let me know, because it's always interesting for me to know what everyone else thinks about all of the songs, of course, as well. But mainly, let me know which one are you rooting for as it stands right now. And yeah, that's the end of the tier list. I hope you've enjoyed watching the video. And if you haven't, I'm sorry, but hopefully I'll see you again very, very soon. I think all of the songs from the Finnish selection are now out as well, and I'm kind of interested to get around to that one, so maybe that will be the next tier list. Be on the lookout for that on my channel if that's the case. Anyway, thank you so much for watching today. Take care of yourselves, and bye bye.